Hey, what's going on, everybody? I wanted to make this video because I got home today and I was receiving some messages from some people over YouTube. Really, just a lot of trolls. Um, and I started listening to Dragnoc's Hangout, and I just finished watching G-Man's video he just uploaded about shifting the goalpost. And I also think that there are some things that need to be said. Um, Okay, I think that it's been obvious for a while here now that our community is really going nowhere. Um, the Christians here in our community, whether they be ID proponents or whether they be supporters of Scripture, trying to give a decent, legitimate case for the Gospels, or if it's just somebody trying to talk about things regarding philosophy, we're offering cases, we're putting up content, we're doing the best that we can to um, deal with relevant issues that pertain to God, evolution, and so on. But all I'm seeing from people in the reverse is they criticize endlessly. They don't offer any substance. Um, to me, and this is just honest, and you can take it however you guys want to, but this is just the truth. What I'm seeing here is an entire community that's been defeated, as they've been shown repeatedly to be wrong or not even understand what they're saying a lot of the times. And it has gone to the level of these people trying to talk about, well, I'm going to school now. I'm taking classes and I got an A in biology or something like that. Um, something recently that was said by Dragnoct actually, and he actually says this all the time. He brings up this statement that, well, true empiricism is actually saying that I'm going to school now because I want to impress people on the internet. You guys know how he twisted that. Clearly, what happened there was the fact that what happened was that there was a video that I put up talking about longevity senescence in the genome or negligible senescence and how this related to scripture, or the Old Testament talked about people living 900 to 1,000 years. And he made a lot of criticisms regarding this issue. And I confronted the fact that he didn't know what he was talking about. But before I put up a video expressing that he didn't know what he was talking about, I made a prediction of what he was going to do. He was going to try to bring up the fact that he was going to school, um, this hopefully to try to puff out his chest and distract the fact that he just didn't know what he was talking about, and we just watched him fall down a flight of stairs. That's what happened there. That's the reason why that point was brought up. It was not to sit over here and say, well, Drag is trying to impress people on the internet for no apparent reason. It's Drag just made a fool out of himself. He confronted the fact that he didn't know what he was talking about, and now he's going to try to bring up something with no points to it, no conclusion to it, to get out of the fact that he was refuted, and use his his classes that he's going to now in school to get out of the fact that he was being silly. So it's the way that they twist things. You notice that Drag doesn't even put up any content of any substance. He waits for us to talk and he criticizes. Same thing with Steve, same thing with many of the other people in this community. They are not offering anything. And for some of the scientists in our community who start to make a fool out of themselves, they get carried away and criticize me in Hangouts, and then I decide to respond to them, and then they get mad because I decided to respond to them, and again, they make fools out of themselves. So that's what it's turned into. It's turned into, okay, we offer cases for our position, we talk in Hangouts, trying to bring up debates, opening up rooms for people to come in and speak with us. Or even offering the opportunity to where if people would like to debate, to go on neutral ground, and they refuse to. They're not offering anything here, and it's unfortunate that they are here in our community because I think that they spoil good discussions that could actually be had. I was listening again today to Steve, I only listened to a couple of minutes of the hangout that Drag just did. I think it was about an hour or so ago. And he said something on, well, G-Man, this was Steve that was speaking. Well, G-Man thinks that no one can understand anything that True is saying. No one's at a level of true empiricism. And he's always making statements like that. Well, he's only got 12 people that are following him. Nobody takes true empiricism seriously, which is really silly because I've got more viewers than him, and I've got, I think I can show that that's not the case. But he doesn't seem to understand that these statements that he makes, the reason why people don't trust him and don't believe him, and he can take this how he wants and spin it all he wants, but he's been confirmed to be a liar on at least 12 or 13 different occasions. It's not once or twice. He has flat out lied through his teeth, and people have been in rooms catching him when these things have happened. I mean, you look at just the discussions that we had, for example. A lot of the discussions that myself and Steve has had, it's had to have been at least 3 or 4 now. Well, I think there was one on Antonio's channel and 1 or 2 on my channel. I think there might have been another one that like it was an off-air hangout or something like that. I don't remember specifically, but at every discussion that we've had with one another, people have been able to see that he doesn't really offer anything. And then when they leave that discussion that they've seen with him with me, they go over to Bible Thumping Weenuts channel or even on his own hangouts, and they'll listen to him talk to someone like Arcade Logos the Ghost or other people, and he simply can't give any evidence. He's not able to offer anything. So people understand the reason why. Well, why not only I don't take them seriously, why nobody in the community really takes Steve seriously, because he's filled with a lot of hot air, and it's usually just pure negativity at all times. Same thing with the lies, man. I've got screenshots that I put over G+. I mean, he's just a dishonest individual, and there's nothing of any substance being offered. There's nothing intellectual being given there. He may have some guests going on his channel, but there's nothing being offered by him. It's just other people that actually will try to make points coming on his channel, talking amongst each other. And that's pretty much where our community is right now. I'll just give you guys a heads up, man. If you guys, well, I know Steve doesn't want to talk to me or Dragnot's one of these guys, because if they say these same statements, like if Steve makes the same statements like he made in that Hangouts where he said, I don't understand any of the signs, and he comes in a room with me where the two of us discuss this, I'll make a fool out of him. I mean, how many times have they challenged me on this issue of me not understanding something or not understanding what I'm saying, and I explained it in detail, and they ended up making a fool out of themselves. So Steve knows better. But if you guys want to be taken seriously by people outside of your little circle jerk, then I think that you guys need to start actually putting up content and actually talking about things of substance. If you notice, I've been paying attention to some of these channels. If you're not talking about me, if you're not talking about G-Man, if you're not talking about people in this community, and if you're not getting a special guest in, your channels drop a third of the viewers to even sometimes less than that. I was looking at a couple of Steve's videos. He only had 180 in one. I think it was like 200 or 350 or 60 or so in the other. That's what actually happens when you're not talking about things of substance, because people are not, you're boring. It's fun every once in a while when your group of people will start bad-mouthing people like me on our side of the great debate, if you want to call it that. But it's not fun anymore when people have to actually sit back and listen to you speak, because then they realize that there's nothing being offered there. But I would like to see that. I would actually like to see you guys putting up content, talking about things and actually breaking things down, and just stop dismissing things all the time and denying reality. I mean, Steve put up a video about me a while ago, and he was talking about I have never corrected anybody in anything at any time. And then you guys seen the video that I put up where I showed like at least 4 or 5, I think, different occasions where I've actually corrected several of the scientists in our community again and again. And from there, he goes, well, okay, true, it has been partly right some of the time. Or is it that I'm wrong all the time and I've never corrected anybody? Or now that you're confronted with this, you have to admit that I've made points here of several different times. Now it's went from that to where he's going back to the first statement that he made. Oh, well, I've never corrected anybody on anything ever at any time. That's pretty much, I mean, what I'm saying, that's pretty much where our track record is actually at. One thing that I can recall myself making a mistake on is the proteolipid situation, where it was actually pointed out to being wrong by anybody in the community that was Fiona. And if anybody looks at the videos that I put up around that time, before that time, so I think there was like 4 videos that I put up actually in response to Sam. You hear me breaking down the synthase structure in detail, so no one can say that I don't understand the structure, just mixed up a word. But I look at like my count, the misunderstanding of the ATP synthase and the catalytic core, not understanding the Sahara dust and how that relates to the nutrition in the Amazon forest, Robertsonian translocations, and many other different things that have been pointed out that they don't understand over and over and over again. I mean, Steve's not understanding the how things protrude out from along that mitochondrial matrix. Doesn't understand that there are different enzymes. I can keep on going on and on and on. But that is the truth. And I think that people in the community, they see this despite the fact that they make excuses and they try to laugh it off. The laughing things off and trying to dismiss reality can only get you so far. In your own little community where people are going to help you with your excuses and also, try to be silly at the same time. Yeah, they're going to do that because it's common to their cause. But when it comes to actually having an effect here, of convincing people of your views, of actually persuading people to believe that you are right and that I am wrong, or anybody else in this community is wrong, you have got to offer more substance. And I mean, even as I say this, I know that they don't really care. I mean, with Steve, we understand he's going through a financial situation. So I think that with him, mainly this is all about trying to get as many viewers as he can on his channel for monetary gain. But so I honestly, sincerely don't even think that Steve cares about any of this. That's the reason why he acts the way that he acts. I mean, it's not only myself. I mean, other people that are even atheists that are well-known individuals that go on shows like J.D. Kane's Talking Trash Tuesday. What was his name? Cliff Jumper, I think that's what his name is. I actually got him in a private post over G+, and I asked him about this situation, and I remember him in a hangout pointing out that that Steve had lied about him. There was some drama going on there too, and it was with me, with Sean, with so many people inside of the community. I think Brandon had some issues going on with him. So many people have pointed out how dishonest this individual is. I know Hogtie doesn't like me saying this, but this is exactly what happens. I mean, Hogtie hurt himself. Hogtie was involved in that Robertsonian translocation nonsense as well, with Down syndrome, where he was making statements like, I don't understand, or how is it that True doesn't understand this? I learned this like in high school or something. And then the next day he's apologizing because he got wrong what he was saying, and just the way that he mishandles information through his long-winded G+ posts, just so dishonest, man. And it's the truth. I mean, I see a community that's been defeated. I see a community that doesn't offer anything, and they know they can't offer anything, so they're resorting to name calling and trying to poke fun and attack people's appearances. I mean, what is this nonsense with Dragnoct anyways about financial situation, or all this other nonsense. I mean, I probably make about 2 or 3 times as much as the guy makes anyways, and there's no reason to even bring that up. Where does that even come from? You know, when we're talking about certain things, excuse me, here online, like, does God exist? Is there evidence for intelligent design? Is evolution true? Those are the things that you should be talking about. When you are when you get ahead of yourself and you condescend to your opponent, like, oh, ha ha ha, you don't understand this. How could you not understand this? Because we learned this in high school. And then that very thing that you were mocking about, you were shown to be wrong about. You should just be humble and be like, okay, made a mistake, whatever. When you do this, when you resort to calling names and bringing the things to, you know, that level, that is just indicative of the fact that you've lost. You offer nothing. You've lost. You have nothing else to say but that. Instead of responding to the actual topic at hand, when we're speaking about negligible senescence, the Bible, or whatever, respond to it with actual science and information. And unfortunately, that was his response. You know, that this has been his responses. That's the entire reason why I said what I said. How Dragnoct keeps on twisting that. I'm saying that Dragnoct, how did he put it? He said, I'm saying that Dragnoct is going to school so that he can impress people on the internet. No, you bring up your school after you made a fool out of yourself. So you're thinking that if you impress people, that's going to distract what just happened there. You know, what just happened when we saw you fall down a flight of stairs. That's the point. You know, he's done this before, though. He did this before with, you know, because a while ago, and this was like a few years back, actually, we were on, it was about DPR Jones's channel, I believe. And I was trying to get him into a discussion. He started bragging about when he was in the military. He started going to, he was a nurse in the military or something like that. And he was asking me about schooling. And then they twisted my comment and they said, well, True Empiricism was saying that he's got such a high education that that he'd intimidate people if he showed his credentials. No, that's not exactly what I said. And I showed actually, I broke this down actually in a video a while back ago. The point was that, look at, if I have more of an education than somebody that's talking to me, they'll use that an excuse to avoid hearing what I got to say and just say, well, I don't know enough about this topic. Somebody else has more of an education than me, a higher degree of education than me, then they'll use it to say, well, I know more than you, so blah, blah, blah. That's the reason why I've kept my education private. Make it about the points and the actual evidence and the facts, not about some BS gameplay here to where we're not going to talk about it. And you think, I don't know why they think that if they bring stuff like this up, like it's going to make the evidence or the topic go away or something, because that's not how this works. But I mean, as you can see, people who have put their credentials out there, like Tompkins, we got a PhD in genetics. They laugh at him and they talk about how stupid the guy is and how wrong he is, and it doesn't really matter about what education is. That's what the point is. But that's the point. I mean, I agree with G-Man. It's gotten to the point to where they're always wrong. And that's one of the reasons why I think that they have such a problem with me, is because I come here on the internet, excuse me, talking about this stuff as a hobby. And these people take this seriously. I mean, they try to laugh and mock and, you know, stuff like that to try to distract the fact that they take it seriously. But you got to listen to the responses. I mean, I got a clip of Dragnoct and JD Kane's hangouts where he's getting mad over me re-uploading the video that I put up about him on this issue of negligible senescence in the genome. And you listen to Scientist Sam. He's a biologist in this community who got ahead of himself as well over the catalytic core and the C ring on that synthase structure. And he got mad. I mean, you can hear him afterwards trying to talk about my appearance and so on and so forth. You know, and the best one is Steve's, actually, from like 8 months back, because he was mad. He's called me a little biatch, and he was mad. I'm good. Some way, somehow, I'm going to work that into a video. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Maybe I'll use it like in some sort of video for satire. I'll mix it together with one of my favorite movies or something. But he can't deny that. Like he'll probably make a video about this hangout right now, laughing, or like, oh yeah, I was mad. But he was mad. You can hear it in his tone. That man was angry. So they take it seriously. They take it a lot more seriously than they pretend not to. And I think that with my videos as well, when I put up my content, I do it a little bit different than most of the other people in the community. I do it in such a way to where, okay, let's cut out all the nonsense. Let's not talk about a bunch of BS. Let's get down to the point. Here's what you said. Here's what I said. Here's what the fact is. And then when I do it like that, and we listen to them saying stuff like, oh, this guy's an idiot. We learned this stuff in high school. I learned this in grade 8. And then you hear them say that. And then I show, just some random YouTube video, some science educational video confirming what I'm saying, or show some article, or show some post somewhere that confirms what I said. It makes them look bad. And that's why, they can't deny this either. They look stupid. They look bad when they do that. And in the most cringeworthy of ways, they look like a fool when they make those statements. But people are going to respond to this. The evolutionists in our community are going to respond to this. And of course, they're going to mock what I'm saying and laugh at what I'm saying. But regardless of how they treat this situation, it's still true regardless. And it can be proven and confirmed for anybody who's in deny it and try to laugh it off. I have the facts and the evidence for every accusation that I've made towards people lying. I've got facts and evidence for every single point where I've proven these people wrong, which is several occasions on that topic, such as once or twice. It's several different occasions with that. And I can really find no point of refutation in any debate or any discussion that I've had with any member of their community at all. The only thing that I can really find that if I'm really going to look hard enough, or I have gotten something wrong, was something very minor, like mixing up the C ring and calling it I don't remember what I call it, 16 kilodalton proteolipid. And I should have just called it a proteolipid or subunit 9. Because if you look at those two structures, they look very similar to one another. Their layout is different, but the VATPAs and the FATPAs are very, very similar structures. But even there, when I look at that situation, and I look at, anybody can go check out the videos that were put up weeks to a couple of months before that. You hear me getting in detail, explaining the structure in detail. So no one can sit over here and say that I don't understand the structure based on something small like that, compared to when Sam was mixing up the various, not only mixing up the C ring, but also when he responded, mixing up the C ring, conflated that with the catalytic core, which is the other part of the structure. So based on what he said, not coming from out of my own mouth, from his own understanding of the structure, you can clearly see there was no understanding. He was very mixed up in his approach. But that's what I'm saying. Even this video, I don't know if this hangout's going to stay up, because I know this is true, and I know how this game goes. People are going to respond, and they're just going to they're going to try to troll and not acknowledge what I'm saying so that we can move forward. The fact of the matter is, okay, stop saying these stupid things. Think before you speak, and make sure that you know what you're talking about before you're responding. That's important. Make sure you know what you're criticizing me over before you say that I'm wrong. That way, later on, you're not admitting that you were wrong the very next day, or trying to laugh it off and distract the issue like Drag has done, after I show some article or some video or some source confirming that I was right afterwards. You know, just that's what it is. I'm gonna go to the comment section and see what some people are saying. Yeah, so that's what it is, guys. We got a couple of comments here. Total Faith says, I've never seen this guy around before, so this is probably a sock account. Yes, guys, I know. I heard you guys say that you were going to make some sock accounts and lie and pretend that you guys were Christians just to try to troll the comments. I heard you guys, so I don't know if this is a troll. I don't know if this is a sock account, but I heard one of these guys say that in a hangout. Christians should be humble. Let the atheists have the sin of pride. Let the atheists have the sin of pride. You know, when I'm responding to these people, what I'm saying here. I'm saying what needs to be said. It's not to sit over and say, ha, I pulled one on these guys. I'm smarter than these people. I know more than these guys. Ha ha ha! Look at what I did here. I'm proud of my. You know, that's not what I'm doing here at all. That's not the intention. The intention here is to point out. Look at, we've got a large group of people here that think that they're in the know, that think that they are smarter and better than everybody else. They treat the opponents of their views like garbage. They insult every single person who will stand against them, who makes them or points out that they're wrong about something like garbage. They lie about people. They twist things on a regular basis. This is how they treat people. When I come in here and I point out that they're wrong about this, that, or the other, this shakes them up a bit. This grabs their attention. No, you don't know everything. Stop pretending that you do know everything. Okay? Look at it like this. A lot of the people I talk to in this community, like Drag, he's not a scientist, or Steve, they're not scientists, but like Sam or Fiona, they're actually scientists. But a lot of the people in this community, they have degrees in science. They have masters or PhDs in biology. And the point here is that now, they don't know anything about my education at all. They don't know anything about me and my personal life, nothing like that at all. But let's grant for the sake of argument that I don't know anything about anything. I'm an uneducated moron that knows nothing, you know, never went to school in my life. Let's assume that that's true. The fact that these people have got their masters in biology or their PhDs in biology and are being corrected by somebody, according to them, who has no education whatsoever, the fact that people in this community, like Hogtie and other people who have degrees in science, are being shown to be wrong after such arrogance by some moron, as they like to call me here on the internet, should shake them up a bit and cause them to be a bit more humble, to understand that they don't know everything, that maybe, just maybe, they're not as good as a scientist as they think that they are. Or maybe what it is that they're so arrogant, they're so overconfident that they criticize and attack their opponent before they even think or consider what their opponent is saying. You see, this is what it should do. You guys shouldn't get the impression that I'm being arrogant because I'm saying, these people have been shown to be wrong in the past. That's not what the intention is at all. It's not. The intention here is to really just and mainly, and I'm going to be honest about this, is also to defend myself from people who are, spreading lies and, spreading misinformation. But a lot of this is to try to help confront the fact that, look at, somebody has to stand up to this nonsense. A lot of the times they take advantage of the fact that they do know stuff about science, and they try to bully people who don't know anything about science in. And if they disagree with them, I mean, I've listened to Tommy, Sam respond to Tommy Hall, just calling him a retard in every name in the book. It's like, dude, calm yourself down. This is not that big of a deal, okay? Just talking down and beating on people that they think that they can talk over or belittle. And unfortunately, I look at this community. There's really nobody else in our community that knows enough about this stuff to respond to them. People can tell that they're BSing. They're BSing them, but a lot of the Christians, they don't know enough to respond to what these handful of people are actually saying. And that goes for the atheists too. I mean, you guys have seen me go into rooms with so many of these atheists, and 99% of them don't even know what a freaking protein is. I mean, that's how ignorant a lot of these atheists are. So there's going to be some atheists saying, well, yeah, these Christians need to go get an education. Well, the same people who are not, those individuals that I mentioned, like Sam or Fiona or Hogtie or some of these other guys, you don't know anything. I mean, Artist, I remember he was pretending to be a scientist, and when I got him in a couple of different rooms, questioning him about various different things, and he actually tried to citation bluff me. And as I went through some of the articles, I would question, what does this mean right here? Do you know what this means? And he didn't know. He's given me an article in defense for his position, but he didn't even know what the article was about. He just went and Googled anything, with random terms that were irrelevantly related to the topic, and thought that if he went and found any article that was going to actually be used as evidence, or that I wasn't going to understand it. So I've seen pretty much every atheist in this community that's come in and talked to me over this. That's what I see. There's only a couple of people in this community that can actually talk about this stuff. So again, for the atheists that are listening, slow yourself down, because we all know that what happens when you're questioning on this stuff too, you don't understand this stuff. I mean, I was watching a video that somebody put up in response to a discussion that PZ Myers had with G-Man. And they were trying to get on G-Man's case over this monkey gosh, no, that wasn't it. That was something else. I'm sorry, guys. The chromosome 2 fusion. Chromosome 2 fusion. G-Man said the wrong number of chromosomes. And what do? They started making fun of him. Okay. But how many times does G-Man say, well, I'm not an expert on this stuff? How many times does he say that? He obviously has an understanding of evolution because he's recited it to you. He's explained, well, through millions and millions of years, there's supposed to be gradual changes leading up to larger changes. He's explained it. And he's even repeated what you guys have said to him, okay? G-Man has got the same understanding. He understands how evolution works, but instead of you guys, all right, if I were in PZ Myers' shoes and I wanted to convince G-Man that he was wrong, and that evolution is what it is, what he should have done is he should have tried to explain it to him. That's what he should have done. That's what he should have done. But it gets down to this point to where you guys are just trying to laugh and make fun of somebody for very minor issues. He mixed up the number of chromosomes. It doesn't even matter. You get what he was trying to get at. I mean, I'm more than willing to bet that if I question most of you over what chromosome 2 fusion is, or any of the minor details of that, or like the transcription factor binding region that crosses the site, or any of that stuff, like 99% of you wouldn't even understand that. I know that because I've spoken to a lot of you guys over this stuff. But that's unfortunate. That's unfortunately how it is. I mean, things aren't fairly pointed out on both sides. They're not. They really, really are not. They're not pointed out fairly on both sides. If a Christian makes a mistake, it's like the end of the world. He's done something horrible, equivalent to murder. But if one of you guys make a mistake, well, we all make mistakes. That's 100% true. It is. I mean, every time I would point out one of these guys are wrong, it goes down to the issue of well, of course he made a mistake. He's only human. He doesn't know everything, right? You don't hear G-Man saying stuff like, "Well, we learned this when we were in high school. I learned this when I was in grade school." Then the next day he's confirmed to be wrong. Then starts laughing about it later on. That's what you guys do. You guys make it worse for yourselves. That's what I find funny about it, because people used to get on, because G-Man a while ago, he would go in rooms and he would, I think he would deal with the atheist the way that the atheist would treat him, basically. And people would get on his case all the time for that. But difference between G-Man and a lot of these people in this community is that these people in this community, they're over arrogant, and they have failed so many more times in the most cringeworthy of ways. I mean, every person in their community, from JP Kane, Steve, Dragnock, Hogtie Chat, every single person in their community has failed in the most embarrassing of ways more than one time. And that's why I respect G-Man, because you look at, despite this nonsense, G-Man can see past the BS, and he keeps coming back on here, and he keeps on putting up content. He keeps on talking about stuff. That's a real man right there. That's not a coward, and that's actually here standing up for what he believes in. The only reason why a lot of these people here online is because Steve wants money. He's not working, so he wants money, so he's trying to get Patreon and all this other stuff going. I think you should get the picture that it's not working out for him because of $300, $240 a month. I don't know how anyone can live on that, but so many of these other people, like their only reason why they're even here is for the attention. If the tables were turned, they wouldn't even be here online anymore. And we saw that with there was a scientist that I talked to a while back. This was a few years back. I forgot what the guy's name was. What was this guy's name? Suzuki Das. Suzuki Das. Suzuki was a guy that claimed he was a scientist, and then he used to be a Buddhist, and he got involved in Islam and all that other stuff. He's been around the block so many different times. That's what he would say. He's been everywhere and everywhere. He's been every position and whatever. And he was criticizing me over some stuff over that I've set up regarding science. I just asked him a few basic questions regarding organic chemistry. I think it had something to do with aliphatic compounds and aromatic compounds and cyclic structures. And he basically didn't know what to say. He was embarrassed. A couple of people actually mirrored that, and he left YouTube, because it's fun when you can mock other people and you laugh at other people and you stay within your little clique and you're laughing at other people, but it's not fun anymore when you're being criticized and you're the one who's really looking like a fool. Like when they say stuff about us, we know that a lot of it is just they're twisting things. They take certain clips to make it sound like we're saying something, and then they add to it and they add to it and they add to it. So there's always a way for us to respond and to point out, look, that's not exactly what actually happened. But when we respond to them, it's very difficult for them, and it makes them mad, because we're not lying. We're just showing what is actually going on. And he ended up leaving YouTube and closed down his channel after that little event I had with him. That's what happened. So I mean, you can see that. I mean, when it gets to the point to where they're being responded to or they're shown not to be wrong, it's not fun anymore. They're not here online standing for anything. They're just here waiting for us to talk and to be critical towards everything we say. They're so used to making fun of people who are speaking. But not giving any answers themselves, right? Because it's easy to sit back and to criticize and doubt endlessly, but it's another thing to actually sit back, think, and give an answer to certain things. And unfortunately, here online, they're not capable of doing anything like that. So I'm on the comment section now. Jade is saying Suzuki Das never claimed to be a scientist. Yes, he did in a couple of different hangouts, actually. You've been reminded of this many times. It doesn't matter what you guys try to say about his excuse. Yes, he gave an excuse afterwards, but he repeatedly said that he was a biologist and that he was a scientist. I heard him in several different hangouts, and I listened to him from his own mouth make these statements. Afterwards, when he was asked those very basic questions, we see him collapse and went down that route and said that, well, he just goes and collects samples for the lab or something like that. That's the same thing that Emma Martis did. I had Emma Martis was carrying on in the comment section that said that he put himself in the same group as Sam and Fiona. Well, we are actually scientists, basically. We actually understand this stuff, and it had something to do with the topic. I don't remember what the topic was actually about. It might have had something to do with DNA. And he gave me like a whole bunch of links underneath it. And afterwards, I got him into a discussion with me by going to his channel. And after talking with him, he started saying, well, I'm not a scientist. Because, I mean, anybody who watches a discussion with me and Emma Martis, you can quickly see that while I'm talking to him, there's a lot of phases of awkward silence is there, because he's like, after I say something, he doesn't know how to respond to what I'm saying. Yes, Jade, he said he was a scientist several times. Several times he said he was a scientist. Word for word, he said this: I am actually a scientist. That's what he said. He did. He said that. He did say that. He did say that. The fact that he's lying doesn't mean that I'm going to lie and go with his excuse because he now looks bad after the mistake that he made. No, I didn't pull a bait and switch with Emma Martis. Absolutely not. You guys have so many excuses for everything. But yeah, I agree with you, man. There's nothing of any substance in this community. There really is nothing of any substance. They all criticize us endlessly, and then they get mad because after we confronted their criticisms is just retarded and stupid and just has no value whatsoever. They get mad and they start throwing their little fits. That's what happens. We offer points. We try to make cases. I'm not asking you guys if you think that our arguments are bunk or just stupid. I'm not asking you that. You're free to disagree all you want and have your own opinions and views of certain things. But I think the point is that we actually try to bring things up of actual substance. We actually try to produce content rather than sitting in a community and talking all day about nothing. And unfortunately, that is what it is. That is exactly what it is. And there's always two sides of every story, but unfortunately, the other side is going to be nothing but a bunch of excuses. That's exactly what it's going to be. That's why. And anybody wants to respond to this, you guys let Dragnock know. You let anybody know that's been mentioned here. Because this video is not going to stay up. It's one of the reasons why I started bringing my attention to the atheist experience. And I'm probably going to be getting some other guests on my other channel because of the fact that I'm not interested in engaging with these people anymore. They're a waste of time. They really are a waste of time. And for the longest time there, I've been dragging my feet. I mean, you look at my discussion that I had with Redline, and you compare it to the discussion that I had with what was his name, Dave S. I think he left YouTube too, actually. Compared to the discussion that I had with Dave S., you can clearly see that I'm getting a lot more technical with certain points with Dave S. than Redline. Look at my discussion that I had with Redline. I'm clearly getting more technical with Redline than I am with negation of P. Well, because to be fair, negation of P said I don't really know a lot about this stuff, so he was trying to give me the argument to make an argument a different way. You look at my discussion that I had with I don't know. Think of somebody. Steve. Look at my discussion I had with Steve. Well, I had 4 discussions that I had with Steve. The more recent discussion I had with Steve, and you compare that to some of the other discussions, I clearly don't get as technical as I did with other people prior to that discussion I had with Steve. Really, a lot of that had to do with the fact that I was going to blow him off anyways because of the first couple of discussions that I had with him on my channel and on other channels. And I realized that he wasn't, doesn't really grasp too much of this stuff anyways, and we wouldn't have gone anywhere with anything. But I think for the point being is that for the longest time, I think it's pretty clear that I've been dragging my feet. I mean, look at the discussion that I had just recently with King Crocoduck. I was clearly a lot more technical there than I've been with some of these other people like Redline or Steve or Negation of P. It's unfortunate that Dave S. isn't here because you know what? Dave S. was one of the guys in this community that actually did put up content. And me and Dave S. disagree with a lot of stuff with one another. And we had a drama going on back and forth. But you got to give credit where credit's due. That guy put his effort in and actually put out some good content. I actually caught even videos that he made in response to me. I actually caught myself uploading a couple of his videos because he actually did a good job, and he's actually sitting back trying to think about certain stuff. Even Sam a couple of times actually I've caught myself upvoting his videos because he'll actually sit back and think. It's not always the name calling. Sometimes he will sit back and think and talk about some stuff. But with the red lines and a lot of the other people like Drag or Steve, it just sort of get worn out with the idiocy, I'm going to go back in the comment section. Hannah says, total faith, your time is best spent elsewhere. The hate in his heart. Stop moving. Stop typing it, guys. The hate in his heart and the ego he feeds makes him impossible to have a fair discussion with. That's just total nonsense. You look at the discussion that I just had with King Crocoduck. That was a very respectful discussion. Very respectful. It was a very good discussion that I had with him. Look at my discussion with DPR Jones on my channel. You look at the discussion I had with Dave S. Even Dragnox, at least when I got him on my channel. Very respectful. I've always been very respectful and fair. The only time I'm not respectful and fair is like with Steve. You look at the first discussion that I had with Steve, for example, on my channel. Watch that discussion. It was in parts because for the long period of that hangout, nobody was in there, and the guy that was originally supposed to be in there kept on dropping in and out, and I would drop in and out. So I had to remove that first section, and I only included the sections where Steve was in there. Well, you hear the guy contradicting himself, refusing to give any evidence. Like, he doesn't offer anything. He really doesn't. He doesn't offer anything at all. So when somebody's just going to BS you and they're not going to want to answer certain things, you're just coming to talk about drama, then you're going to be muted or booted because you're acting like a fool. But if you sit back and you talk to me and you're straightforward with me, if I don't know something, I'll tell you I don't know something. If you don't know something, I expect you to be honest and reverse. Sit back and talk. But unfortunately, that's not how people in their community actually are. That's just the truth. Hannah said I insulted Dave S. I didn't insult Dave S. in any hangout I've been with Dave S. No. But Dave S. in my rooms, I think we've always had pretty respectful discussions. You guys try to paint me like I'm some evil, bad, mean person all the time, and I don't really get what the issue is with all that. Total Faith had said that I was incredibly rude trying to steal their guests on the Magic Sandwich show and trying to bring them to my own channel. Now, that's not true at all. There was a lot of over talking because when that discussion, here's what actually happened. G-Man had DPR Jones on his channel, and this was like the third or fourth time that I had spoken to DPR Jones. And I only went in there because I wanted to try to set up a discussion between myself and Howard Raw. And DPR Jones says, okay, well, you can bring it up on the later on, or we can try to set something up later. So at the time, I was using a really crappy phone, actually, when I had called into the show. And you can see it. I'm breaking up all crazy. There's a lot of overlapping. Entire time, I'm thinking that I'm being interrupted. But there's a lot of overlapping of the audio, actually, that I wasn't really catching on to only till afterwards. There's a lot of mix-up there. But my intention to go there was to try to set up a discussion, not to have a discussion with the guy. And as dishonest as DPR Jones was, for some reason, when I came in there and tried to set up a discussion like he said he would help to make happen, he acted as if he didn't know what was going on. No, you're not going to try to set up a discussion with this guy. He just wanted me to talk to him right there and then. Why? Of course, because of viewers and to get some drama going. It's ridiculous, man. It's amazing how dishonest these guys are. I still can't believe he did that. Like that. That was one of the most dishonest things I think I've seen yet. He knew why I was going in there, but in order to protect this guy, it was just really nonsense. Very silly. Yeah, they're not talking about anything now. I've done a lot of wrong against others. What have I done that's wrong to others, Hannah? And this is the same. Like Hannah's one of those sneaky people. You know, she's actually come to my hangouts and she'll try to get in the comment section or come into one of my hangouts and try to say, well, you know what, you guys should be cool with each other. You shouldn't try to fight with one another. And then she'll sneak out and go to one of these other atheist hangouts in her little community, and she'll start bad mouthing about us and all that other crap. You know. Get out of here with that, Hannah. She'll try to come into one of my hangouts, which actually with Phony Beetle Maniacs, and we're all having a discussion. She says, you know what? You should leave Phony Beetle Maniacs. This isn't a good discussion. And she leaves, like trying to disrupt the hangout. Interestingly enough, doing exactly what this individual Total Faith is accusing me of doing. But of course, you didn't see that one, did you? See, even Carly acknowledged that she's very sneaky. Very sneaky, right, Carly? Wonder which soccer account that is. Nah, you're sneaky, Anna. You're a sneaky person. think that's probably why Hannah's so mad at me, because the BS manipulative games, they don't really work on me, and I can see what she's doing when she's doing it. And she's free to go over to one of these hangouts and be like, oh yeah, I'm sneaky, hee hee hee, laugh it off, but I really don't care. That is what it is. I've seen it, I've caught on to it, and excuses really aren't going to make that go away. Listen to this guy. This is obviously a stocking comp, but Total Faith says Hannah Zubby is far more Christ-like than you, True Talk TV. I don't even know how an adult can sneak from hangout to hangout. Ridiculous slander. Well, you can't process that at all, right? But let me tell you what Christ was like. Christ flat out told people that they were hypocrites filled with dead men's bones, that they may clean the outside of their appearance, but inside they're ravenous wolves, basically. And you know what? One of the disciples came to Jesus and they said, you know what? You offend them. Jesus said, let them be. Jesus was the type of guy that would toss over the tables, and he would get mad, and he would become enraged for truth and for what is right. So the fact that people in this community may be offended because I point out the truth, I don't care. You can be offended all you want. You can be mad at me all you want. I really have no emotion towards it whatsoever. You believe anything I ever say? Because of the dishonesty that has gone on so many different times in this community, that I've caught on to what I've seen going on in videos when they're recorded with screen captures, and they just go laugh it off as if no one saw what just happened. This community doesn't have any integrity for them to be taken seriously. They can get as mad as they want about it, but they have lied right through their teeth on a regular basis. And there's a reason why. I mean, statistics show that atheists are the most mistrusted group. There's a reason for that. There's something that follows this position to where you think when you think you don't have to account to anybody, where you can just make excuses for everything and sneak your way out of certain things. So he also told the disciples to put a dagger in the purse afterwards, didn't he? Think about that, man. Whoever this troll is, you're just exposing your own ignorance on the text. You think Jesus was turning the other cheek when he was telling these scribes and Pharisees that they were hypocrites, that they were filled with dead men's bones, that he was constantly, no. He spoke the truth. Well, worldwide, somebody says atheists are a mistrusted group in America. Worldwide, not so much. Well, out of the 7,300 million people on the planet, only 3 to 6% or so call themselves atheists, somewhere around there. So yeah, of course, worldwide, they're scattered everywhere. And even among these groups that I stated right here, a percentage of that actually, I believe, are people who call themselves non-religious. That can mean anything. I mean, I know people who believe in God that call themselves non-religious, but are only calling themselves not religious because they're not a practicing church member. So it doesn't really mean anything. And it says, go to a priest or a scholar, TE. Regarding what specifically? That's the frustrating thing about this channel, man. There's so many freaking atheist trolls on this channel. This is mainly almost everybody on this channel is an atheist or a non-believer of some kind. On my other channel, at least, I've got that percentage of people who are Christians or believers or some sort of deist of some kind that will support ID. Yeah, total faith, believe it or not, I used to preach in a church. Only a couple of times, and I was asked to actually preach every Sunday, and I turned it down because I had, conviction. Well, it's a long story. I felt like I shouldn't be doing that. But I know the Bible and I understand Scripture, but I also I'm not unrealistic like a lot of other people think that God is. God is not Barney. Okay, clearly, people, you guys should gather that even from the Old Testament. You should gather that from the New Testament. Yeah, what do you think? You think Jesus was being nice when he said when he was mentioning hell? When he was mentioning that people were going to go to hell. What do you think that was implying? Hell was a furnace of fire where there will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. So people have been led away by a false prophet with honeyed words spoken with a serpent's tongue. Whoever this troll is really trying. Right, I don't hate anybody. Somebody say, "Well, love those that hate you." I don't hate anybody. Pointing out the truth. That's all I'm doing. How am I hating on anybody? I'm pointing out the truth. I'm guessing that total faith is probably Dragnoct, and that Aminko is probably JD Kane. That's what I'm guessing right now. Christian behavior is to speak the truth, dude. That's what it's about. It's about speaking the truth. Doesn't matter if people get offended. You know what the scripture says. In the last days, men will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust, they will heap to themselves preachers having itching ears. That's what the scripture says. When you tell people what they want to hear, then that's something you should be worried about. Beware what men speak well of you. Speak as so they did with the false prophets. That's what scripture says. They were hated for a reason. There's a reason why they were attacked. Okay, there was a reason why the scripture says that if they hate you, remember they hated me first. Scripture warns this because when you preach the truth and you say things that people don't want to hear, they're going to be offended. They're going to be mad. I might do that, Hannah. Hannah says, just having to hang out in private like you always do. I might. That's the problem with the Christians today, man. Too many Christians want to sit in the pews and I don't know if anybody's ever been to a Pentecostal church with these people running around in circles like they're lunatics and do all this crazy stuff like they think it's actually having some sort of benefit or pleasing God in some sort of way. None of them get challenged. None of them want to go out there and talk to people. None of them understand what it actually takes to actually be a real Christian, to stand up for the faith, stand up for the truth, and just what does the scripture say? How does the scripture put it? Being a soldier. So what you think is a Christian is not a Christian at all. A Christian isn't some weak pansy that doesn't say anything, doesn't speak, doesn't defend himself, doesn't call things out for what they actually are. You guys are thinking of some sort of pacifist, Weasley coward that will say nothing to offend people. The truth is going to offend people regardless. It's not like I've cursed anybody out or anything, or I'm attacking you guys in a way that's not true. Yes, Jesus prayed for his enemies. That's true. But Jesus still spoke the truth. I don't know what you guys are trying to do here. Somebody says, why are atheists always lying cowards? Well, the reason why they lie, I mean, there's so many videos I've done on that already that doesn't really even need any more justification for that. You go check out things that have happened even outside of this community where, for example, in Costa Mesa, California, where they lied right, or an atheist community lied right through their teeth and they just made something up about a founding father that didn't really exist anywhere. They were caught up by the news. Didn't exist anymore. The historians knew that it didn't exist anymore, but basically their attitude was like, "Oh well, okay, we were wrong, but hey, we're getting attention now from the sign." So they didn't have any remorse or any care of the fact that they were lying and they got caught out and lying. This happens all the time. I guess it makes sense. I mean, I remember hearing Matt Dillahunty saying something as well. Well, lying is okay if you're gonna, if you had a lie for somebody that was being for a Jew that might be caught by the Nazis. It's okay to lie then. There are certain cases when it's okay for a lie to be permissible. So okay, a lot of atheists were saying that they accept that. So I guess if lying is okay, then I guess according to their logic is a right if you're lying for a good cause, and if any religion and fighting against beliefs that you don't agree with, even if they might be right at certain points, if you have to lie about something, go ahead and go for it. That's what it seems like we're dealing with. Atheism, lack of belief in God or deities. Atheism means to be without theism, and theism is a belief in a personal, interactive, creative God behind the influence of the universe. That's what it is. There are so many different things that go along with an atheist position. You don't just get to sit over here and say, I don't believe anymore. Because not believing in a creative God behind the influence of the universe is ultimately rejecting a base explanation of reality. And we know this, all of us know this, and anyone who participates in these discussions understand that there are implications that follow. I'll give you an example of this. When we're talking about morality, an objective standard of morality, what are the things that are talked about? A subjective standard of morality, or consequentialism, or relativism, something like that, because there's a flip side of the coin. Without theism, without there being an objective moral standard for God, morality is based on according to your own position. So despite what people want to sit over here and say about atheism just being a disbelief or lack of belief in God or God, there is nothing to it. It is just that it's not true. Ultimately, regardless of whether or not you want to specify what you believe or not, because you've negated God, because you've negated those premises of theism, whatever position you're going to be under is going to be without theism. So creation is outside the window. Your view of life, whatever it was, things weren't created. Whatever your view of morality, whatever it is, it's without the same standard of a theistic brand of morality because you're negating theism. Unfortunately, we've got so many people that are misinformed on that issue because you got idiots like Matt Dillahunty and other people that are just lying to people and just trying to skim down their own position so that it's easier for them to, bob and weave and duck points that they think are inconvenient. It's better that way to keep the heat off of them. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Probably gonna have to hang out soon. I don't know. But I'm gonna be having probably some guests coming on soon on my other channel. There's one guy in particular that I'm gonna be hopefully having on my main channel soon. I think you guys are gonna enjoy that. I don't want to publicize it yet because I want you guys to see it. This guy is very smug, and most of you guys probably already know who he is. I think it'll be an interesting discussion, though, because I think this guy has some understanding. But I want to get Kent Hovind on again on my channel. I'm going to open up the hangout for the non-believers to come in and offer their opinions and views. And I want to try to rotate some of the Christians in our community. Hey, get out of here, bro. All right, I'm sorry about that, guys. Got a German Shepherd and a Husky over here, and a Tundra Shepherd, and the German Shepherd likes to sit underneath my desk while I'm in here. He literally follows me around the house when I get home. So I know he's making a lot of noise there. But yeah, so there's going to be some things changing over on my other channel. It's going to be getting a little bit more productive over there. I want to make sure that it's not going to be like this, I'm just making a hangout while I'm doing other things, talking from the top of my head to my mic. It's not like that. It's going to be a little bit more sophisticated. Why you guys keep making all these accounts? Repent to you'll spend an eternity in the lake of fire. All right. I got something for you guys. For the trolls. You guys watch this. You guys are going to treat out of this. This has to do with some of the people in our community, actually. This is a recent video that I had actually uploaded. Got 890 views on this one. Should have waited a little longer. I didn't reach 1,000. Hey, help, go. So you guys watch this. Got a lot of bandwidth. I'm going to walk away from the room really quick. you guys get a treat of this. Turn my bandwidth up. Everyone. There we go. All right, guys. Enjoy this.
Some of these people have come to the bizarre conclusion that I've been broken or I have raped PT. And strangely, the reason chosen had to do with Hannah, of all people, which I have to say is very odd. Now, for a while, I've been saying that Hannah was one-sided and sneaky. She would do things, for example, like telling one of our hangouts, try and disrupt if we were talking about things going on with the atheists and evolutionists in her camp, as if she were playing the middleman or trying to find common ground. Or she would enter a hangout of one of ours, say nothing, and leave a comment for the participants to leave, attempting to disrupt good, productive discussions, all while running back to one of her friends' hangouts and giggling about it. Well, her one-sidedness was pretty obvious here too, so let's get into what she said that these silly people actually believe forced me to rage quit.
Oh my God. I didn't expect to trigger him so much in his last hangout, considering that people were calling him butthurt, bitch made, and I think somebody called him a faggot too, but he didn't respond to any of those comments. I said, this is comical, and he fucking rage quits his own hangout.
Now, the very first thing that I think we should note here is Hannah lied right through her teeth. Seems to be a common factor with these people. I left because I had to go pick up a friend and was going to redo the hangout as soon as I got back. And I did exactly that. But don't take my word for it. Let's prove it. Here is the very end of the hangout Hannah is speaking of.
Take it easy, everybody. I might do a hangout in about a half an hour. I actually got to head out right now, so take it easy, guys.
Now here is the very beginning of the second hangout, started minutes later.
All right, what's up, guys? I decided to do another hangout right now, simply because I haven't been doing a lot of hangouts. I thought I had to go head out right now because I was getting a lot of phone calls by a certain individual, and I guess I don't.
Now, what the context of the hangouts had to do with the question was a passage of Deuteronomy 22 shared by JDK over G+. If you note, there is a specific disagreement between JDK and I over whether or not rape was a crime against a woman. Here's the passage. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. Note how the passage clearly says that if a man forces a woman, then the man only should die, but unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing, because in her there is no sin worthy of death, but because the man forced himself on her, his actions of rape against her is so bad according to this scripture that what he did to her is equivalent to murder. Rape is clearly a crime so bad against a woman in this passage.
Yeah, for the viewers that are watching this, that are not one of these trolls, remember, you guys are always recalling these people make excuses that when they go into rooms, they're banned, they're removed. I want you guys to pay attention to the comment section as to the reason why they are. And understand that when they make these excuses, they don't have any integrity and are not to be taken any seriously. Because it's very clear that this is the type of thing that they do. They deliberately try to troll and try to just make fun and insult people and say or add nothing at all of any sort of substance whatsoever. So just keep that in mind, guys, as you're reading the comment section, and understand the reason why these people do end up banned and why they usually are removed from the discussion. Well, they do actually are courageous enough to enter these rooms and to try to back up things that they say, because usually it goes down this route of cursing and name calling or trolling because they don't offer anything anyways. So just think about that, guys.
That it is the same as murder. Now, how any of these buffoons can honestly believe that any of them has what it takes to force me off YouTube is kind of funny. Let's just face it, almost every time these people open their mouth towards me, they fail in the most cringeworthy of ways.
So the nutrients that they're getting is actually coming from the brain.
No, it
That's
isn't.
been carried up through.
No,
Oh, thank God. I thought he was going to say it's coming from the sand from the Sahara.
no. The nutrients come from the fact that organisms die in the rainforest. So when something dies, there's a huge explosion of life.
It's almost like it's a cycle.
Like it's almost like there's a cycle involving life. You know.
Like it's shit soil, and they've worked out the fact that because the conditions environmentally are good apart from the soil, they've adapted to get their nitrogen from other sources, i.e. rotting shit.
Yeah, they get it from other organisms or shit that's, like you said, dead and rotted. It's not. God, this is like freaking 8th grade ecology over here. Am I crazy or?
But then no, because sometimes it happens. And I thought, well, maybe I was mixing up listening to when he was talking about Robertsonian translocations versus specifically telomere fusions. But then he says that the Robertsonian translocations cause horrible birth defects like Down syndrome.
But that's a trisomy. That's not a Robertsonian translocation.
Oh, well, thank you, Mr. Guy with high school education.
No, I learned.
I know.
We had a girl with Down. No, it's not even high school. It's grade school. We had a girl with Down syndrome in my 5th grade class. That's when we learned about it. So like.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure which way, how to make fun of that, because, we're having these discussions about
you don't make fun of Down syndrome.
No, don't make fun of. I try to make fun of St. there, but yeah, it's weird. Because we're talking about some things that you learned about in university, but this is. I thought it was high school knowledge. I seem to remember learning about it in grade 10. When do we learn what chromosomes are? Maybe grade 8. I don't know. But that's pretty. I mean, thinking that Robertsonian translocations cause Down syndrome. Okay, maybe people don't know what a Robertsonian translocation is, but you should know what Down syndrome is. I mean, how do you even come up with that?
So thank you. It is true. According to the textbook that I used for molecular biology. Certificate, boom, right there. So there are 10 to 14 proteins in the C ring. And that's fair.
Only for them to be forced to admit I was right the very next day. Which is bizarre when we continue to hear these clowns make statements like these.
I have continually asked for examples of where myself or anyone else has ever been refuted by Ronnie. There's not been a single solitary time that I can think of where Ronnie has successfully refuted anyone on what he's been corrected on or has been explained in detail to him as to why he is completely wrong in his scientific claims.
Just FYI, guys, a complete denial of reality with constant name-calling and ironic belittlement is not going to change reality or make it go away. The opposite is true. I recently went through all of my videos removing unsophisticated content. My goal is to actually continue plans I had months ago to refine my channel and make it better. So no, guys, being openly ignorant and closed-minded while repeatedly demonstrating inferior understanding only to firmly deny it afterwards with confidence and rudeness is not going to make it go away. It's only going to make you people look delusional. Have a nice day. Some of these people have come to the...
All right, let's look for another one, guys. Let's look for another one. I don't think we're done yet, okay? This one is pointing out where Dragnox is caught lying. That one got 700 views, really? Wow. Steve Lyon. Where is it at? Ah, here we go. Perfect title. Insecurities, egos, And the Dunning-Kruger effect, yes. All right.
As we all know, there has been a bit of a back and forth between myself and an atheist concerning a topic on science. And to be perfectly honest, due to the insufficient understanding he has and how little the community seems to take him seriously, I had no intention of putting any efforts into a video like this. To the interaction and how it unfolded, I found this interaction to be very beneficial to show how certain atheists here online spread about. To help us understand why I say this interaction is beneficial, let's roll the original criticism of this atheist towards my video dealing with negligible senescence. And no, the atheist in question does not know what those words mean.
Go look at True Empiricism's video about like how he thinks that people are going to live like 1,000 years old. Like Sam and I first mentioned it on Talking Shit Tuesday the other day, or yesterday I should say, and it's fucking funny. Like it is like if you don't even have to understand biology to see where he fucks up. But if for those of you who don't know, we don't have cell walls, and that's kind of one of the main differences between our animal cells that we have that makes up our skin and the plant cells. There's a difference if you touch the surface of even a rhinoceros and you touch the surface of a tree. They feel different. Well, that's because we don't have cellulose. We don't have cell walls. That's one of the reasons why they can live that long. They're that rugged. They're that sturdy.
Now here's where things actually start to get interesting. Following the night after Dragnoct made this response, and a few days before I responded to his response, I responded to somebody over Skype with this comment. Yeah, I saw his response. Drag is laughably underhanded. Seriously, I am going to wait a few days to respond, but here is what I predict will happen when I do. 1, because Dragnoct does not know much about the topic, after I clear up his misunderstanding, he will add nothing or will avoid attempting to touch on it anymore. 2, instead, he is going to try and puff out his chest while posturing, attempting to make himself not look ignorant by bringing in schoolwork or some BS from his college. He will continue with making accusations of myself being ignorant or not understanding science, like a lot of other atheists do, while not demonstrating it at all, and ignoring the fact that he is guilty of exactly this. Finally, when he fears having to come in a live room with me, there will be some sort of cowardice excuses. Like clockwork, I had explained to Dragnoct in a recent video his error, and that this specific difference in trees was not the factor as to why they were living long, and that a matter of fact, there are many different fruit trees that may live only 12 to 25 years, having the same consistency of cellulose, yet living a shorter lifespan than some dogs and even the rhino he had mentioned. Instead of Dragnoct doing research and looking for the reasons why this was the case, he became defensive after his ignorance was confronted, while doing everything I said he would do before he did it.
But these are my 2 graduation forms for my 2 degrees that I'll get in May. Man. How did I get there? Jeez, well, God damn it. You know, I know True Empiricism hates me being arrogant and bragging, but I just so happen to have those right behind me to wipe my ass with them. I'm sorry. I get off on True Empiricism insulting me. I really like that's something that makes my day. I cannot put into words how entertained I become. And Sam laughs at it too. Just so you know, we do laugh at schoolgirls when he insults us because it's so fucking funny. The dude who has no clue for the difference between animal cells and plant cells is going to tell me that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm just like, you learn that when you first started doing biology, the difference between cells.
Oh man, I had to come back in here. I'm actually watching this on my 70-inch flat screen TV in the other room. because I'm trying to cook myself up some food real quick before I go to bed. But I wanted to run in here really quick to remind you guys, remember what I brought up at the beginning of this hangout, how these people like Dragnox make statements that are just dishonest, and then they run along with them and they twist things a lot. And Dragnox recently in a hangout, he keeps going on with this nonsense where I basically said, Dragnox is just basically going to school because he wants to impress people on the internet. No, this is obviously what I'm referring to, that he's clearly twisted things to distract what actually happened here. Look at this prediction. Look at how everything unfolded. This is what I bring up. This is the point of the topic. When he's refuted, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's very predictable what he's going to do. He's going to start talking about some classes he started going to that has nothing to do with the topic. He won't bring any relevant information up that he learned in those classes, which would refute what I was saying. This is what happens. Now this hangout probably is going to stay up, so you guys won't have to relive this shame too much. But I just want you guys to remember what I'm saying here and pointing out, because as you hear Dragnox carrying on, you're going to know that Dragnox is lying. Even if you don't like me, you don't agree with me, you're going to see things through my eyes and see how they like to twist things and make things up. And they do it with a smirk on their face and with confidence, as if they really know what they're talking about. So understand, when I say these people lie and they twist things and they're dishonest, that's not just some sort of vague assertion that can't be backed up. It is truly something that happens in the community on a regular basis. And unfortunately, because of the way that this community is set up with so many trolls in this community, they all make excuses for one another, and they never have to own up for their dishonesty.
See, as point number 1 and 2 were just confirmed, we move to point number 3, which was also confirmed at the end of what Drag just said. At the end, Drag mocks me on an issue concerning the differences between plant cells and animal cells. Now, first, I would like to say that if I were to talk with Dragnox again in a live room on a topic dealing with the differences in plant cells and animal cells in general, I wager any amount of money that Dragnox would be exposed having insufficient knowledge. His knowledge would be basic at best, and as we proceed to get more technical, we would observe many phases of awkward silences simply because he wouldn't know what to say. But we are not on the issue of any and all differences in plant cells and animal cells. We are specifically on the issue of longevity and negligible senescence. So when explaining the differences, it must be relevant differences. There are many differences in plant cells and animal cells, ranging from lysosomes in animal cells being found in the cytoplasm to not being found in some plant cells, or to plant cells having chloroplasts and animal cells not having chloroplasts. Some of these have to do with plant cells living a long time, and others do not. So as we go back to Dragnox's projection,
the dude who has no clue for the difference between animal cells and plant cells.
Let's remember what the specific difference he mentioned, and only difference he mentioned, regarding trees and negligible senescence.
If for those of you who don't know, we don't have cell walls, and that's kind of one of the main differences between our animal cells that we have that makes up our skin and the plant cells. There's a difference if you touch the surface of even a rhinoceros and you touch the surface of a tree. They feel different. Well, that's because we don't have cellulose. We don't have cell walls. That's one of the reasons why they can live that long. They're that rugged. They're that sturdy.
Now I've talked with Drag.
You know, I'm looking at the comment section, and they're like, I wonder if they really are trolling or if they're trying something else. Because I remember Dragnox and a couple of these guys, they were talking about the Christians of the community. Dragnox tried to bring up some theistic evolutionists, and how trying to make a case that, well, look at it, it's not just the mean atheists agreeing with true empiricism. And it's just interesting how these different events unfolded and things that they said. And I'm looking at the comment section, and they keep on making a lot of Christian sock accounts for people in our community. And I know that they're sock accounts because you can go and you can go to their channel and see that this is not the original guy's channel. And I wonder if they're trying to lead some of the viewers to believe something different or something. I don't know. But you guys need to knock it off with the trolling nonsense. Look at this, guys. Take a look at this. Go ahead and check this out. See, I left this open the other day. This is from One Way Apologetics. Look at this. On the channel, on his channel. Troll. Remember, guys, remember this too. They say I just ban everybody and I ban people for no reason. There's reasons why they're banned. Because we'll end up forgetting all these reasons why their soccer accounts are banned right now. Jamie Teacher. This channel, I bet you there's no contents here, nothing at all going on. Yep, see? Other sock accounts. Making more sock accounts. All right, back to the original video.
Times and every discussion from 4 years back all the way up to recently.
One of the main differences between our animal cells that we have that makes up our skin and the plant cells. There's a difference if you touch the surface of even a rhinoceros and you touch the surface of a tree. They feel different. Well, that's because we don't have cellulose. We don't have cell walls. That's one of the reasons why they can live that long. They're that rugged. They're that sturdy.
Now, I've talked with Drag numerous times, and every discussion from 4 years back all the way up to recently, most of the discussions, Drag goes nowhere. And the last discussion, he carried himself very arrogantly in his own room, and I didn't go running my mouth to him. Instead, the very next day, I called him out into a one-on-one discussion with me because I knew how it would go. He's pretty much like every other individual I've talked to. You guys remember Emma Martis, who also was a college student, making the same accusations with the same tone and arrogant as Drag is now?
That's right.
You know what it's talking about? Do you know what it's talking about? When it's referring to a ribosome, when it's referring to the ribosome binding factor, what is it talking about?
Uh-oh. What is this?
It says at the top of that section that you gave me, it's referring to ribosomal binding factor. What is that talking about?
You are where they find to get awareness.
Answer the question, please. What is a ribosomal binding factor? What is it?
It's a binding site.
It's a protein that associates. It's a protein that associates with ribosomal units. Yeah, that's pretty much how another discussion with Drag would go. My intention here is not to respond to Drag as if he's some heavy hitter in the great debate community. So all of you atheists who've been leaving comments to me.
Yeah. You guys have already seen this before. I'm going to go back to the last the comment feed. And yep. Again, I want you guys to go check out some of my discussions, man. I mean, like Steve and Drag Knocked and Red Line and some of the other guys I've been mentioning and throughout this hangout. These are the people that I don't take seriously. You can tell when you watch my discussions with them, and you compare it to other people who I do take seriously, like what's his name, King Crocoduck, or maybe DPR Jones or something like that. They actually offer points. They're like King Crocoduck actually is knowledgeable about certain things. So you can see that I get a little bit more technical with my responses. With these other guys, it's like I just dismiss them and I don't really give too technical of responses. And I think the reason why, and I've been feeling this way for a while, they don't offer anything. They waste time. All they do is troll, and they make mockeries about things that they didn't even understand to begin with, and now they're mocking because that's their last route. They don't have anything smart to say in response to correct what's being said, so they just troll. Or stock accounts. Sarah says, out of curiosity, would you be willing to do debates on a different platform than your own? Like another channels hang out. Yeah, I used to have discussions with people all the time, man. You look at Redline's discussions and so on, there's been like 9 other atheists against me by myself. I stopped going to these hangouts because they don't treat people with respect. And there was a situation that unfolded with Redline and me a while back that he was just like having a heart attack over a discussion that I put on my channel that I had with him for like 3.5 hours or so. And I think the reason why was pretty obvious. It's one thing to have that discussion on your own channel where everybody's going to make excuses for you and no one's going to point out the fact that you just screwed up there. But when you bring it to another audience base where you're starting to be criticized, it's not fun anymore. You start to look bad. Look at this stock account. I block people because it's a sign of weakness. No, just remove the trolls. That's all it is. Come into this room and talk with me, and I can show you how weak you are. I can show you who can actually make some points. This is obviously Steve or one of these other stock accounts. I don't want to be out of the question. I'd be willing to have a discussion with most people so long as it's going to be a neutral ground. If I'm going to be going into a discussion with somebody, I want to be able to talk. I want to be able to get my points across. If I'm going to go into some discussion, I'm going to be taking my time out of my day to go talk to somebody, and I suspect that I'm not going to be treated fairly, then of course I'm not going to waste my time. Yeah, trust, that wasn't the real trust in Jesus. That wasn't him. So why would you have that in response to a fake stock account? You're blocked too. You see the sounds of silence, guys? Look at this. Oh, man. They got Matthew 4:19 stock accounts. They got Arcane Logos and Go stock accounts. Matt Yester. I bet there's a running hangout right now. Let me see.